Hey guys, MLF Pro John Hunter. Just want to talk to you guys today about the best baits to use for forward sonar. And if it's something that you're not working on to try and perfect, you're gonna be behind in the tournament bass fishing scene. So perfecting what you're looking for up there on your screen is one thing, but then having the right tools and techniques to catch those bass on that screen is the next most important part. So we're gonna dive in and show you the best handful of baits and techniques to use to catch fish on forward sonar. All right guys, so first bait, forward sonar technique is the drop shot. The drop shot is awesome for picking apart isolated cover, whether it be rock piles. A lot of times we're fishing brush piles with our forward sonar, and that's when I reach for the drop shot. I rig it on a straight shank hook, finesse hook with a hand poured worm, and usually anywhere from a 1/4 to a 3/8 ounce weight. This is a good weedless approach to picking apart that cover and not getting hung up. This is just a great way to attack those fish. I throw it on a 7-1 medium action SWIMBAIT fishing spinning rod, usually anywhere from 10 to 12 pound fluorocarbon. I use 15-pound braid as my main line to a 10 to 12 pound P-line tactical fluorocarbon leader. So that is it for the drop shot. All right guys, next up is the nail weight. The nail weight is a great forward sonar bait in a couple of different scenarios. One being the spring, when you have fish up high cruising around, they're getting ready to spawn. You have your forward sonar set on like 12 to 15 foot maximum depth, and you're really trying to find these fish around shallow cover that are up high, sunning, getting ready to spawn. That's when I reach for the nail weight. Right here I've just got a size 1 rebarb hook with a JIG-MINNOW slim shake worm and just a little 1/16 ounce nail. Now there is an application sometimes when you're going to use the nail weight in deeper fish, like if they're offshore and they're schooled up and they're in an actual group. Sometimes I'll do that and I'll reach for a little bit heavier nail weight, but that's when I grab the nail. All right, so getting into some of my favorites. Next is the Finesse swim bait. Right here, this is a JIG-MINNOW saucy swimmer, 3.3 on a 3/16 or 1/4 ounce head. Sometimes I'll go 3/8, but like we said, a lot of times when we're opting for the swim bait, these fish are less than 15 or 20 foot deep in the water column, and this is a great time to throw these things at those cruising fish. A lot of times when I'm using the Finesse swim bait, I've got my forward sonar set out on anywhere around 100 feet or so, and I'm panning around trying to see these fish cruising around, and we're throwing that saucy swimmer out there, watching it go down our screen and keeping it just above their heads. That's what's very important a lot of times when you're throwing something that's suspended, and targeting the suspended fish is keeping the bait above their heads, because if you get it below them, a lot of times it's over. If we can keep them looking up, then we have a chance to call them up and get them to come bite. Next technique is something that's gotten a lot of traction and attention lately, and that is what I like to call just a jig head minnow. It's anywhere from a 1/4, 3/8, all the way up to even 1/2 and 5/8 ounce jig heads with a little straight tail minnow bait on there. This is a super subtle and versatile bait, and it just gets bit. When you're using these lighter weights is when the fish are a little shallower. When they're less than 15 foot, I'm going to stick to that 1/4 ounce weight, or even an 1/8 ounce if the fish are sitting up high in the water column. If they're sitting up high, suspended real high, I'm going to go for that 1/8 ounce weight. And when you see that a lot of times is in the spring, pre-spawn. A little bit later in the year as it gets warmer, those fish will get down a little deeper, closer to the bottom, and that's when you can go to those heavier weights. And then you have the winter time. That's when we reach for those 1/2 ounce, 5/8 and 3/8 weights. Those fish are deep. They're 20 to 50 foot of water, and they're out there chasing bait quick. And when those fish are moving around, we need a little bit heavier weight, because we're trying to get to them, and you need to present it to them quickly and accurately right in front of their face. All right, y'all, next up, final technique is probably my favorite, and that is a jerkbait. A jerkbait it's just a bite enticer. A lot of times when you're throwing a swim bait or a jig head minnow or spinner bait or even a drop shot into cover, and whether it be a rock point or a brush pile, I like to target fish with a jerkbait that are holding near or on structure. And what this thing does is it just purely gets a reaction strike. Like I said, with these other baits, we'll get them to follow it out, we'll get them to come look at it, but the fish has to be in a feeding mode if they're gonna bite one of these other baits. The great thing about the jerkbait is they don't really have to be in a mood to eat. The erratic action and just the twitching and the snapping and the rattling of the bait, a lot of times when that fish is following it, it'll just, out of pure reaction, it'll just grab that bait. And I just think at any time of the day, you can get bit on a jerkbait. It doesn't necessarily have to be when they're feeding. All right guys, so what makes these baits and why they are so special for forward sonar is because these other baits, you can really depict their sink rates and the depth at which you fish them at any moment. And that is important because when we're using forward sonar, we're targeting fish that are swimming. They're chasing bait. We don't know if they're gonna be 5 foot in the water column. We don't know if they're gonna be 20 foot in the water column. So having these baits that we can influence sink rates and the depths at which they run in an instant's time, that's very important. So that's why these are gonna shine.